Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
People start coming in. Amy, Camie, and Mish. How are you guys? All right.
Good morning.
Paul, when you give me the okay, so here's how it's going to go. Just super easy.
Okay.
I'll introduce you.
All right.
Chit chat.
Yep.
And then after about 10, 15 minutes, then I will ask you some fun questions.
All right.
Totally easy to answer.
Your idea of fun questions, right?
My idea. It's all mine. It's my
All
podcast, Amy.
It is your podcast. I showed up. Totally
All right.
prepared.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Paul, we're ready. Put it up closer. Got it. How's that? All right, cool. Hi, this is Mich Hancock, and you are listening to MichMash, the place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Camie. Amy is the healing harpist, a certified clinical musician, inspirational keynote speaker, recording artist, author, and educator. Do you sleep? That's always my question I want to ask people when they do 8 million things, Amy.
Sometimes, yeah, I
Okay.
do. As soon as I get to bed, I sleep really deeply.
See, I do too. I do a whole bunch and then I go to bed. I'm like, honk, I'm out. Just leave me alone. I'm done for the day.
Exactly.
You know. Well, hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are
We've
you?
known each other for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
I mean, right? So this is going to be fun because I get to know more about you now.
Thanks for being. I'm excited to be here.
Well, and it's interesting because what I'm fascinated with, and I so want people to understand is, okay, you play the harp. When did you start? 2, 3 years old?
Just about. No, I played piano when I was 5 and harp when I was 10.
I'll be darned. All right. So you were playing the harp for about 20 years. And, right? And, okay.
Actually, age means nothing to me. So I'm 56. I'm going to be 57.
I'm 57. We're like the same age. Oh, look at us go. Yeah. I know. I'm the same way. When I say 57, I feel like that's weird because in my head, I'm not.
No, I'm not either.
Like it's, and then I think when I turn 60, I'm going to be like, oh, but no, that doesn't sound right. So just treat me as I'm different because, you know.
You know, funny story, a couple of weeks ago, I had to fill out a form for another interview thing, and they asked how old I was, and I literally had to use a calculator.
Oh, do you forget your
I
do that a lot. I'm terrible at remembering my age. I have to ask my daughter. She usually figures it out. I'm like, I'm 50. How old am I now? You know, so
exactly.
It's a thing. But you've been playing the harp for a very long time. But what's interesting is where you have taken this. You know, so it's one thing, okay, I play the harp, but you have taken it to this whole healing. And let's talk about like that. Like at what point, when did you say, you know what, this is what I want to do with my musical talent?
Well, it was definitely unintended because I'm classically trained all the way through high school, through college. I went to Indiana University, studied with top music harp teachers, Suzanne McDonald and Linda Wood. They're just amazing. And when I graduated in 87, a friend was going through hospice care. And I just had this inspiration, this little nudge inside to sit down, make a cassette tape. That's how long ago it was, a cassette tape.
Ah, yeah, right.
And just record some music. So I did. I just recorded. One side was light classical, one side was gigging familiar music. And we had another friend who used that tape with Pat Clark was her name. And our friend saw Pat's body literally just relax when the music was playing. And that was the very first time I had ever considered music and healing because it just wasn't anything we talked about. There was no connection there, but this spark lit up inside of me. You know, that soul knowing is like, pay attention.
Yeah.
And I just kept listening for the next step, the next step, the next step. And that's how I ended up here.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? Let's talk about that because I think that's really important for people to hear. The next step is what you need to be ready for and be aware of, because some people, I think they stress themselves out by looking at this, you know, yes, you have goals, you got these big pictures, but you're not, the goal is step by step. So when you start freaking yourself out and stressing out about, oh my God, but I'm not at the place I thought I was going to be right now. It's like, okay, so I know, but maybe the universe, like, don't judge your own path, much less anyone else's. But your goal every day is, what's my next step?
Exactly.
I think that's really an important point.
And what was happening was that next step, really at that time, didn't look like anything that was happening anywhere else. So I had to trust that what I was seeing in my head, what I was intuitively knowing, and trying to visualize, how do we show this in real life?
Right.
I was so grateful that people who showed up in my space didn't think I was crazy. And I just have to say, I have such deep gratitude for Chris and Bill Collins, because they were the ones that, I'm going to cry.
Well, yeah, because Chris is no longer with us.
Right, exactly. And she and Bill, they opened their minds, their hearts, and walked this with me and said, yes, let's explore this. Let's look at brainwave frequencies. Let's develop a holistic clinical trial. Let's do this next step. And I didn't have any experience in any of that. And so literally it was the next step. And the people would show up in the space. And so I'm so grateful. And that,
very cool.
And that journey lasted, well, honestly, until last month, because this is kind of new information. Over those last 20 years, we developed a medically approved holistic clinical trial. We formed the Scientific Arts Foundation, which is a 501c3. That research, the pilot studies have been published, but the clinical trial was never implemented due to lack of funding. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer twice. The foundation went into hibernation, came out, developed another clinical trial with Siteman Cancer Center.
Oh my gosh.
That was medically approved through Washington University School of Medicine. And of October 15th, last month, we closed that research down due to lack of funding.
Oh no.
But the
end of the story.
It's now
the beginning of the new story.
Of a new story, yes, because over these 20 years I've learned so much, and it has shaped my perspective and perception of how all music can be healing, how all expressions create these highways of connection. It's given me a language to articulate how I feel and experience music. And who's to say, the research that we were developing, it was part of the collective.
Right.
Maybe it seeded other ideas somewhere else around the world.
But that you did the research, and I think that's really interesting, because it's one thing to say, I have this music, it's very healing, but then to have the scientific research behind it, and that is really taking it up to that next level.
It is, and honestly, the motivation for me to do that, and I'll be totally honest, because I'm like this treasure hunter that wants to discover so much about myself. And over the years, I acknowledge that when I started, it was soul driven. It was do this, and I didn't know why. And then at some point it became, wow, I maybe I need to prove this to myself. Maybe I need to really have the proof that this is actually moving through me. And then at the same time, we're getting all these testimonials from people around the world sharing how this music, and now it's like, okay, I don't need the proof. I don't need the science. I'm in this totally different place within myself. Like last month, I shattered on the inside. That identity, and this is really the first time that I'm sharing this.
Right.
That sense of researcher totally shattered in the way that I was holding on to it.
Ah, right. Well, that the ego saying, well, this is who I am, though.
It was part of my journey, and
right.
It still is. I mean,
right.
But the beauty is, I'm so open right now. If researchers want to approach me and collaborate and they do the work, I have lots of ideas.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, and it's part of that. I mean, this is going to be my guess because I tend to be this way. It's like I take something so far and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I got to be done with this. My heart isn't in this anymore. I want to move on to another thing, which is probably why I do so much, right? Because I want to try different things. I want to explore different things. I was filling something out the other day, and one of the questions was, what are your hobbies? And I was thinking, I really sound like I'm kind of boring, but my hobby is business. I mean, it's like different types of businesses. What else can I do right now? What else can I explore within what I do with 100th Monkey, with what I do at TEDx St. Louis? Like, what else can be explored within here? And that is what gets me all excited.
Yeah, my question is, what's yet to be discovered? And that refers to me. Like, what can I discover inside of me?
And isn't it crazy interesting what's inside of us? It takes great awareness. It takes courage because you have to look at all the yucky stuff. That's part of it. But and for some reason, I'm feeling this need to share this with you. I'm just going to say it. I was, me too on my own journey. Like, healing Mish. What's going on at Mish? What do we need to work on? That's one of my big questions all the time. Like, what do I need to work on tonight, guys? Whoever my guys are, But the other night it came up to me that, and I just looked it up because I was like, when I was 2 months old, I had what's called pyloric stenosis, which is a stomach blockage, and I needed to get an operation. And I can't imagine my parents, like 2 months old, your baby needs an operation. But I always felt like there was something about that. Like something about this is something doesn't feel right. And I could never figure out, what do I was 2 months old. I wasn't very aware. I don't have any memories of it. Well, then I read recently that if you're 32 years or older and you had an operation before like 15 months, they probably did not use anesthesia on you. They thought babies couldn't feel.
Oh my gosh.
Now how
traumatic
is
trauma.
that?
Yes.
So that's what I'm working. I'm like, wow, is there some trauma?
Yes.
Of course, that I still haven't released that I need to work on. But I was really what?
Yeah. I told that's for me, that is expressed through the language of resonance. Like everything has a vibrational frequency. And actually, here I'm going to give you.
All right, let's get the harp.
I brought a little visual aid, and I love using the harp as a visual of like all of these energies, all these experiences inside of us. Like the harp, all of the strings create the wholeness of who or what this instrument is. But all of these different experiences, fears, dreams, desires, joys create the wholeness of who we are. And so many times we don't want to go into these low notes. And that's where I feel like all the trauma, the vibrational repression, the memories, but it's part of who we are. And the beauty is, like when I have a big harp and I play the low notes, that creates the richness of who we are. And for example, like I was adopted, and I know that I was conceived when my mom was grieving the loss of her grandfather, because I actually met my birth mother when I was 35. And so I know the circumstances. And it's so fascinating because I can drop into melancholy and that deep, deep, deep sadness so easily. And I've done so much work and sharing music in the hospice, cancer, and grief communities. I mean, I was just unconsciously drawn to that. So I really, and that's called epigenetics. It's when we inherit those vibrational imprints and patterns from
epigenetics is crazy.
It's
amazing.
Awesome.
Yes.
And so for me, I've kind of simplified my offerings and sharings into these categories of self-care, self-discovery, and self-expression. And this becoming aware of these patterns that subconsciously motivate our choices.
Right.
I package that under conscious self-care, and I have all sorts of resources and CEU approved programs for nurses and social workers and mental health therapists and massage therapists, because it's really important, I feel, for those who care for others to be aware of why, what's that motivating energy? Because I know as I look at my patterns over my lifetime from this perspective, I see how I was a constant caregiver. I was a person who was always happy. Let me take care of you, because I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to feel that people would like me, so they wouldn't leave me, so I wouldn't be alone, so I wouldn't die.
Right, and that's that whole adoption thing,
It's the
right?
whole
I think
abandonment,
every
adoption stuff.
person who's been adopted has to go through the process of that, releasing that thought of I'm going to be abandoned.
Well, they do or they don't. Some people don't even. I have a friend who, like, she gets really frustrated with her husband because, like, here's the rug and let's get under the rug, and he doesn't even want to acknowledge that there is a rug.
Yes. Well, I've met these people.
So everyone
yes.
is where they are.
Right.
But for me, because I truly believe that every expression brings that which is within us out into the world, I am on a quest to discover as many aspects of myself, as many of these strings within me, because I want my highway of expression. I want my music that flows through me, to be as clear as possible, without any of my fears or personal intentions or any of that. I just want clear highways.
I love it. I'm with you. I find it fascinating to live here in this body and still not know everything of what's going on with what I'm closest to
We'll
myself.
Never know it. We'll never know everything.
Yeah, well,
we are so full.
If we did, we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, right.
I sound like, obviously I'm not ascended because I'm still here.
Oh, no. In my paradigm, we will never consciously know the fullness of who we are, because we are a culmination of our entire lineage.
Well, right. So, all this stuff. I mean, they've done studies and shown that your cells carry memories.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes when people are like, I don't know why I act like this, like I didn't have things happen to me in my childhood and I'm like, yeah, but what about great grandpa?
Exactly.
You could have inherited that memory.
Exactly.
And now you gotta deal with it.
Right.
So it, in a sense, as we're healing ourselves, we're also healing so many other people around us.
Absolutely. I have a saying that I love. It's compassion grows from within as we lovingly embrace all aspects of ourselves. And that's my motto. That's something that just came through, and it reminds me every day that the more I embrace these hidden aspects of myself, that for me is compassion. And then I can see others through those eyes. And that builds empathy.
Right.
Because I feel like our word compassion as a collective definition, if you look at it in the dictionary, it's about that desire to alleviate somebody else's pain. But I feel on a deeper level, if you turn the mirror, it's really our desire to alleviate our own within ourselves. And once we can explore those aspects within ourselves, then there's that connection and there's that empathy.
It's interesting. I see in my daughter a lot, out as she is moving, she's 19, and as she's moving through the world, it's amazing how she helps me heal, because I will see something and I'll be like, I dealt with this when I was a kid. I mean, it's almost like I'm going through my history again with her. I'm like, oh yeah. I remember this, Yep. It's just fascinating how that mirror is there.
Turn the mirror.
So many ways, And I ask myself, like, when someone's driving me crazy.
Yep, turn the mirror.
I know, I think, okay, what is this for me? Because obviously you come into my life and I'm not having good thoughts about you.
Yeah, right. We have a saying, if it triggers you, it's in you. And again, that's about energetic vibrational resonance. A lot of times I use two tuning forks and I strike one and I put the other one right next to it and they start to sing together. Well, it's because they're the same frequency. And when one is singing, that vibration is moving through the air and activating the other tuning fork. So we wouldn't be able to feel that if it wasn't in us. So it really, that's part of the conscious self-care paradigm awareness. It expands perceptions, increases personal responsibility, and inspires compassionate change. And that increasing personal responsibility part is to own it. Like, if we're feeling it, it takes such courage and such personal responsibility to ask ourselves, what's being triggered inside of me.
Right.
Because a lot of times we want to blame the other person. Oh, you make me feel that way.
Yes.
You do this, you do that. That is not what's happening. Sorry, it's not
I know,
the other person.
it's really easy to blame the other person. I know, and I have to step back sometimes and go, oh, okay, let me figure this out.
Yeah.
You know, like what am I doing? And I've actually even said to my daughter before, like, am I doing to you, like, does this, is this something that is annoying that I do? And she'll, well, kind of. I'm like, just tell me, because I don't want to become annoying to you. You know what I mean?
Our children are the best teachers. And actually, when we're, as a parent, when you're aware of your patterns that you're trying to transform, because for me, energetically, you can't really literally let something go. I mean, you just can't let it go.
Right.
It just transforms it.
Right.
And so I know I have control issues. I know that. And it's based on my need to feel safe and control the environment. There's so many layers and levels. And our kids know that. Our boy, they're young men right now, but when they were growing up, because once you become aware of an issue or something, it's not like it immediately transforms.
Right.
It spirals and it's layers and it's layers and it's layers. But they would test me. Oh my gosh, they would intentionally do stuff that they knew would trigger my control issues, and they did it for fun. I mean, because
talk about it being a part of your healing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Free of charge. We're just going to really annoy the crap out of you.
And we would tell our kids, because, like, this is how we were brought up. I mean, our whole, all the conversations in our household are very metaphysical, philosophical. They're very deep. And we would tell the kids, we're doing so much inner work, so you don't have to. Right?
We're awesome parents.
We
Just
are.
In case you were wondering, there are going to be people that are going to be like, wow, you got it going on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I have some, okay, let me try and put on my glasses, and I'm okay. For those of you that are not seeing us, I was just having a difficulty with my hoodie here. All right. Okay, I have some questions. Ready?
Okay, and I have no idea what they are, so.
No, you do not.
Okay,
so,
great.
I want to know an interesting fact about harps that we don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot about harps, but there's got to be something that you find interesting that people go, really?
Yeah, cool. So harps are kind of like cars. Like, there's all sorts of different sizes and models and shapes. Most people see the big concert harp in an orchestra or in cartoons or whatever, but baby harps, therapy harps, lever harps. I don't know, I'll try to do this on we have a video going, but there's little levers on this harp that make it sharp. It stretches the string.
Gotcha.
On the big harps, there's over 2,000 moving parts. On the pedal harp, there's 7 pedals. There's a pedal for every note in the scale. And each pedal has 3 different notches. And depending on what
some coordination.
It does take coordination. And each notch indicates the tension on the string. And the tension on the string is changed through a mechanism that is connected to those pedals that moves through the column and the neck of the harp. And so when there's no tension on the string and the pedal is in the up position, that's a flat. When you move the pedal to the middle position, a little disc tightens the string and makes it natural. And when it's all the way down at the bottom notch, both discs that are at the top of the string tighten and stretch it and make it sharp.
Very cool.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is they're color coded. So the reds are C's and the blacks are F's. So it's like a piano.
That would be the reason for the different colored strings.
Right.
Okay.
See, so we'll demystify it, and it's like a piano.
Coolio.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. I was looking through your website, and I noticed it's a Chemo Brain, and I don't know. I think I should know what that means, but I don't.
So Chemo Brain is a term that was that's used to describe that mental fog when you're going through chemotherapy.
Okay.
It's like, or you can't remember words, you get kind of cloudy.
It affects you.
Yeah, it affects
Really?
how you're thinking.
I mean, almost sounds like Alzheimer's or something.
Maybe not as intense, but maybe for some. So yeah, it's that cognitive deficits. It's where your cognitive focus and awareness changes. So you're not quite as quick. You're not quite as focused. You can't remember as easily. You can't put things together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a fog.
And I'm guessing any of your loved ones that may be going through chemotherapy, I mean, this is part of the conversation the doctor has, like, hey, expect this.
Now,
hopefully.
Way back 20 years ago when we were starting our research, I mean, this was exactly what we were finding. The Magic Mirror CD was helping to alleviate in 10 days. I mean, that's why I was so excited about, that's why I shattered last month, because 20 years ago when we were doing this research with this music, I had this vision in my head, again, that big vision.
Right.
Yep. Like I want patients all over the world to have access to this music so that they can minimize this cognitive deficit effect. And the beauty of the timing of our research, when we were showing how basically what we did is we did Bill Collins did 20 quantitative EEG on 5 women going through chemotherapy for cancer. Then we gave them the CD and they listened to it once a day for 10 days, and they came back and had quantitative EEG done again, and every neurological imbalance tended to normalize in 10 days. And they self-reported that they felt more focused. So the goal of that research was always intended to provide confidence for those in the medical community,
right,
to refer that music to their patients.
So then, did you explore anything outside of, the healing for cancer specifically? Mm-hmm. Were there other?
Well, we did a saliva sample pilot study where we took saliva samples from a wide range of people. And we did this study twice with a total of 18 participants. And we showed that it had a sustained impact on immune system biomarkers for up to 72 hours.
Interesting.
After listening to it once. And the reason we did the saliva sample studies was, again, we were kind of ahead of the curve. And Dr. David Kosser, who at the time, Bridget Kosser, it was her husband.
Okay, all right.
At the time, we were literally at dinner. And we were having a conversation, and I'm like, cancer patients experience chemo brain, metallic taste, and nausea. And his passion was exploring zinc, or gustin, carbonic anhydrase 6. And it's a transport of zinc,
okay,
which at the time was being shown to have impact in these 3 areas of the body. But it had never been used as a biomarker, an immune system biomarker. So we had to do a proof of principle study to show that it would be of value in the clinical trial that we were developing at the time. And Dr. Abdul Wahid with St. Louis University was the expert. And so he worked with us as well. And we did this pilot study. And it showed we had IgG, IgA, the carbonic anhydrase 6, and amylase. And the immune system was responding immediatally after listening to this music.
Crazy.
I know. So all of this pilot study was very cool. It was ahead of its time. We were doing the psychoneuroimmunology,
right?
Way back in 2006, and yet it never went anywhere. We developed the clinical trial, had it approved, but then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So everything just kind of came to a halt. But it gave me an opportunity to receive my gift of the music.
I was going to say, and then you used this to heal yourself.
Absolutely. So right now, just so everyone knows, literally last weekend, I announced a new website just for the music. I mean, my music's been available all over wherever you listen to music, you can find my music, streaming or iTunes, Amazon. But I developed a new website. It's called healingharpmusic.com. And it's just for the music and my sheet music. And I have put the Magic Mirror on the welcome page so people can listen to it anytime they need it.
That's so awesome.
I don't get paid for the streaming on that site. If you stream it from another site, I get a few pennies.
Right.
If you want to download it from that site, it's commission free, so it benefits me as an artist. But I needed an easy way for people to find the music. And so now I'm just letting people know, just remember healingharpmusic.com, share it, go to it, everything's there.
And that will lead them to other,
all my music is there.
Got it. I love it. Awesome.
But the Magic Mirror specifically is on that page. So that way people can listen to it on their phone, on their computer, wherever they need it. And my vision can still manifest, but it's in a different way.
I love it. Thank you for that. I have one more question.
Sure.
So I ask everybody this one. And, kindness is huge with me. That's like my thing, right? Kindness. Please, everybody be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel as kind as we are, there's always a way to take it up the next level. So I learn from these stories. But have you either received or given or witnessed any kind of kindness? Like what comes top of mind for you right now?
Well, just a couple weeks ago, I was at Aldi's. I think I posted this too on Facebook. And I was in line and the woman behind me was looking at the bunches of roses. I was like, oh, aren't those beautiful? And she's like, yeah, they are. And so I checked out or whatever, and I went to bag all my stuff, and she comes up and she just hands me a bunch of roses for nothing. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And of course, my immediate thought was, oh my gosh, I must, because I hadn't showered, I didn't have makeup on.
Oh no, she's like, oh, this woman really gonna use some flowers right now.
So at first I thought, wow, she's feeling sorry for me. But then, that poofed away pretty quickly, and I just received it. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
Right, is it just me? Are Aldi shoppers like very nice people? Like,
here's a cart.
I am not kidding you. It's weird to me. I mean, I was at Aldi the other day, and it's like we're all like this, our own little like Aldi cult. We're all there. We're buying our Aldi stuff. We all looked at what came out Wednesday to see what cool things were in the aisle of shame, and everybody is just kind of. I have never once been to an Aldi and felt like I can't just talk to the people around me.
Right.
We all chit chat with each other. I mean, I know that is a very Midwest thing, but at Aldi, it just feels enhanced.
And you know what? I think also part of it is there's a personal responsibility that happens at Aldi. I mean, you have to take your cart and put it away.
Yes, right. Leaving that out in the parking lot.
So you're being responsible, and that just layers the connections. And yeah, I agree.
Oh, that is awesome. I love it. All right. Well, Amy, this has been fantastic. I'm so happy we got to finally do this. Would you please lead us out of the podcast with some of your beautiful music? Maybe a couple of minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Move this closer.
I'm ready.
You're so welcome.
Everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of healing harp. You now know where to go to learn more and really experience this music. So we wish you love and light and happiness and healthiness. And thank you, Amy, for being here.
You're so welcome.
Goodbye, all. See you next time. Yay! We're still on Facebook. Hi, everybody. I have a question for you.
All right.
So, this is just for the people that are tuning in.
Right.
So, I have alopecia, autoimmune, and there's like a million autoimmune. Have you ever thought of does any of your music?
Oh yeah, I have so many testimonials. I mean, I have hundreds of, and I'm still getting them. I mean, even yesterday, I get an email from somebody who used my music 10 years ago with her husband, and it blows me away how the music just finds people.
Right.
So I have to sit back and just take a deep breath and realize my dream has already manifested. I mean, it's all over the world.
Right.
It's just now, I just want to focus to reach even more, because people have used it for mental health, for post-traumatic stress. I had stress combat control specialists in Iraq request it for the soldiers.
Wow.
Infants, I had one of my harp students, her granddaughter had a disease where she couldn't really eat, but whenever they played the music, she would be able to intake food. For sleep, for cancer, for Alzheimer's, for autism. I mean, there's tons of ways people have shared with me how the music has changed their lives.
It's incredible. Thank you for what you do. Thank you
welcome.
for living your gift, right?
Thank you for
Yeah.
what you do.
I mean, that's
too.
like crazy important to live your gift, because that's
Yeah.
how you give back to the world. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Go to healingharpmusic.com for more music.
That's where you go. See ya.
Bye.